Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm bringing you part 2 of our current affairs series consisting of 200 important updates. First part already consists of 17 news. Now we are going to start next news, which will be this part 2 current affairs series will be covered in 4 detailed parts because I am explaining everything in detail. These updates are especially curated for UPSC, BPSC, State PCS, SSC, SBI, IBPS, IB, ACIO, NDA, CDS, and many more competitive exams. So, this is the reason I'm trying to give all news in detail. If you have not already, do check out my recent video on 250 important English words with their synonyms and antonyms, which is extremely useful for vocabulary based questions. And also my grammar series is already live, covering topics like adverbs, conjunction, infinitives, one word substitution, and commonly confused words. So all these series I have already uploaded in my channel. So you will also find a weekly science and technology update series and subject specific videos like biotechnology, reproduction, molecular basis of inheritance, human health and diseases, which is tailored specifically for NEET students, and biotechnology for both NEET and UPSC aspirants. So don't forget, tomorrow I am uploading an important videos on clauses and other types, and many more grammar and biology videos are on the way. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Share this video among your fellow aspirants, boost my morale. Also, I am continuously saying you to share among your fellow aspirants. So also don't forget to watch the already uploaded videos on synonyms, antonyms, English grammar series, weekly science and technology updates, biology topics for NEET and UPSC, and also tomorrow's video on clauses and its type is a much must watch for grammar preparation. So let's get started. Part 2 of current affairs series. Now, next news is about that the Karnataka launches fully digital e-stamping system. So the Karnataka government has launched fully digital e-stamping system. It means Karnataka government digitalize the entire e-stamping and registration process. So it is the aim to make the system completely paperless and remove additional service charges, to eliminate additional service charges. So this new digital e-stamping system is expected to be implemented soon. So, about e-stamping in Karnataka, it was first introduced in 2008 to remove fraud in stamp paper transaction. So, it replaced physical stamp papers after a major scam seen in the early 2000s. So, Stock Holding Corporation of India Limited, SHCIL, was appointed as the sole intermediary for taking care of e-stamps, charging a 0.65% service fee. So what are the key features of new digital e-stamp rules? It proposes a fully paperless process for stamping and registration. It reduces transaction cost. It will replace the current e-stamping system with a more integrated and seamless digital platform. So it offers secure digital stories of documents as well. Secure digital stories of documents as well. So there are many benefits. So this new system encourages registration of nearly 3 crore registrable documents annually. So it will increase the registration documents annually as well. So these documents were previously outside audit trails, causing revenue and accountability gaps. So these e-stamping methods consist of Aadhaar-based e-signatures, and it will authenticate all parties, ensuring document validity. So this digital storage will remove the need for physical archives and enhancing sustainability. So it reduces paperwork, cuts cost, and improves tracking of revenue from registration. So it also strengthens, it also improve legal and financial accountability through better audit trails. Next news is about Himachal Pradesh. Himachal Pradesh launches digital land registration system. So it's a very big movement. The Himachal Pradesh government has introduced the MyDeed. What is the name of that National Generic Document Registration System pilot project is MyDeed. MyDeed. So Himachal Pradesh government has introduced the MyDeed National Generic Document Registration System pilot project. So Himachal Pradesh launches digital land registration system. So it aims to simplify land registration and make it more accessible for citizen. So it reduces the need for multiple visits to different types of government offices, and it also promotes digital governance. So what are the national generic document registration system? It has been launched in 10 tehsil across Himachal Pradesh, and it will applicable for land registration online at any time. So this digital system save time and effort for land owners. So these include a simplified Jama Bandi format, written is in easy Hindi, replacing older languages like Urdu and Farsi. So in this, it includes a simplified Jama Bandi format, written in easy Hindi, and replace older languages like Urdu and Farsi. The Rojna Machya Vakyati enables Patwaris to keep digital daily records. So, E-Rojna Machya Vakyati helps Patwaris to always keep track of digital records. So, Karagur Jari is an online attendance and work reporting system for staff. Kargujari. So, what is the name of digital land registration system? Is a MyDeed. So, it helps to improve transparency and efficiency. So, these goals of digital reforms is to provide paperless, presence-less, and cashless work, and it can access services from home without repeated move to the government offices. So, it provides transparency. The Chief Minister has directed the National Informatics Center and Department of Digital Technologies and Government to fast track new digital modules. So these include a digitally signed Jamabandi to avoid physical visit. No need to do for physical visits for land record copies to get the land record copies, because everything is available online. So Deputy Commissioner have been instructed to implement these reforms as soon as possible actively. The Khangi Taksim mission will focus on simplifying jointly owned land records. There is also one scheme is that single khata, single khata, single honor. This concept aims to make land records clear and easier to manage. Single khata, single honor. So these are the movement which is done by the Himachal Pradesh government. It is a very big step to digitalize about the land. Next news is about income tax bill. Income tax bill 2025 select committee recommendation. So the Lok Sabha Select Committee has submitted. Lok Sabha Select Committee has submitted its report on Income Tax Bill 2025. So Income Tax Bill 2025 has been submitted by Lok Sabha Select Committee. So this bill aims to replace the Income Tax Act 1961 with effect from April 1, 2026. So it will effect from April 1, 2026. The committee suggested there is need of 285 changes, which is primarily focused on simplifying the bill's languages and removing contentious disputous clauses. So, key reforms include dropping a no refund clause for late fires and reinstating deduction for intercorporate dividends. So, the key reforms, the key changes includes no refund clause for late who is giving late taxes and reinstating deduction for intercooperative dividends. So, the Income Bill 2025 income tax bill 2025 was primarily introduced to modernize and consolidate tax laws. So it replaces the decades old, many years old Income Tax Act, which was given in the year 1961 and which has undergone over 4,000. Already it has undergone over 4,000 amendments. So this government aims to implement the new income tax law from April 2026 to streamline tax administration and to take care of different types of compliances. So this committee agreed that taxpayers should not unfairly penalized for late tax filing when refunds are due. So this aligning the new bill with current practices and reduces many disputes and many grievances. The bill initially omitted the deduction under Section 80M for intercorporate dividends. This deduction benefits companies taxed under the special rate of Section 115 BAA. So, this committee recommend restoring this provision to maintain continuity and avoid unintended tax burden on business sector. So, there is a reinstatement of reinstatement of intercorporate dividend deduction for on businesses. There is an enhancement of TDS certified provision, so tax deducted at source TDS certificates to low deduction certificates only. So the bill limited TDS certificates to low deduction certificates only. The committee proposed adding nil TDS certificates. It also helped taxpayers, especially loose making businesses and charitable entities, by preventing unnecessary fund blockage where no tax is due. So most of the 285 suggestion focused on simplifying the tax bill's language, simplify the bill's language as well. So this step is intended to lower compliance cost and disputes, to improve the disputes and to solve the disputes easily. Next news about Delhi notifies transgender right protection rule 2025. So this initiative has been taken by Delhi government, which they notified the Delhi transgender person protection rule 2025, protection of rights rule 2025. So this mark a step towards safeguarding the rights and welfare of transgender groups, transgenders person in the national capital Delhi. So under the new rules, district magistrate must issue a certificate of identity to transgender person within 30 days of receiving a complete application. So they have to provide, they are transgenders, provide this application within 30 days of receiving a complete application. These certificates serve as official recognition of their gender entity identity, that they are transgenders. So this process mostly aims to simplify access to government schemes and legal protection. So when they are under the transgender, so they will get all the facilities of government schemes and legal protection. So Delhi notifies recently notified the transgender person protection of rights rule 2025. So this social welfare minister will act as the ex officio chairman. The board will include a representative from key government departments such as home, finance, planning, law, labor, health, higher education, revenue. So this multi-stakeholder body will coordinate policies and oversee the implementation of transgender welfare measures. So the rule aligned with the transgender person protection of rights enacted by the government of rules. Accurate data on the transgender population in Delhi remains limited. So the 2011 census recorded approximately there is a presence of 4,200 transgender person in Delhi, according to 2011. It was record given, and there were presence of there is presence of 4,200 transgender at that time. So current estimates are unavailable about the current data of transgender. Registered transgender voters number just over 1,200, indicating low electoral participation and potential under registration. So registered transgender voters number just over 12,000, which is indicating low electoral participation. Their participation in low politician, and then in voting system, and potential under registration. So what are the significance of this transgender protection rights? It will help to access transgender will definitely will promote to education, healthcare, employment, and social security schemes. Transgender will easily will get benefit from government social security schemes. So there is also presence of transgender welfare board which will provide a platform for addressing transgender grievances and shaping policies specifically tailored to made to transgenders, which is specifically tailored to help transgender needs. Next news about Kanwar Yatra 2025. So, thousands of devotees known as Kanwariya carries sacred water from Ganga River to offer at Shiva temples. So, the Kanwar Yatra blends, it mixes deep religious belief with evolving socio-cultural influences. Kanwar Yatra is linked to Hindu month of Sawan and legend of Samudra Manthan, the cosmic churning of the ocean. So during this event, poison emerged, threatening all life. Lord Shiva swallowed the poison to save the universe, turning his throat blue. So these are the history of Kavar Yatra and about the god Shiva. So the pilgrimage honors Shiva's sacrifice and is believed to bring spiritual merit by Kavar Yatra. So rituals and practices are there traditionally undertaken on foot. The journey symbolizes asceticism and devotion towards Lord Shiva. The pilgrimage conclude with offering the water at Shiva temples, especially the 12 Jyotirlingas and other prominent shrines. So Kanwar Yatra in its present form emerged around the 1700s in Bihar, Sultanganj region. So it was first started in Bihar, Sultanganj region around the 1700s. Earlier references are rare in ancient text. So the pilgrimage expanded slowly until the late 20th century. Since the 1980s, it has increased in popularity due to better transport, rising incomes of individual, and increased religious awareness. So the government facilitate this Kanwar Yatra through providing different types of good infrastructure and security, and this help Kanwar Yatra to participate and in this yatra. Next news about Supreme Court allows secret spousals recording in divorce cases. So it's a very good initiative which Supreme Court has taken. The Supreme Court of India recently ruled that society recorded conversation between wife and husband between spouses can be used as evidence in matrimonial disputes, including divorce cases. So this decision outturns a 2021 Punjab and Haryana High Court ruling that they had barred the use of such recordings. The apex court judgment reshaped the understanding of spousal privilege and privacy in Indian law. So this privacy must be maintained. So about spousal privilege, Spousal privilege, it helps in protecting private communication between married partners, between wife and husbands. So India, the section 122 of Evidence Act codifies this protection, spouse dispute protection. So it bars disclosure of communication made during marriage unless the spouse consent or in specific legal situation. So this privilege aims to safeguard marital confidentiality and trust, which is a need of which is urgently need during divorce cases. Application of a spousal privilege in cases. In divorce proceeding, spousal privilege doesn't directly prevent one spouse from testifying against the other, so it is a big step. Evidence such as letters, photos, and testimonies of third parties support allegation. With modern taxonomy, with modern technology, digital evidence like text message, emails, and recordings have become common. So these are the evidence. Courts have traditionally hesitated to admit secret recordings due to privacy concern and potential concern in obtaining them. So Supreme Court's rationale for admissibility. So the court ruled that relevant and verifiable evidence can be admitted even if secretly recorded. So the court interpreted section 122 to allow evidence of spousal communication, wife-husband communication without compelling testimony. So it equated secret recording to a third-party witness to privileged conversation. So the Supreme Court referred to a 1973 case where secret telephonic recordings were accepted as evidence in a corruption trial. So it extended this reasoning to matrimonial disputes. So what are the impact on privacy and marital trust? The Evidence Act was enacted in 1872 before privacy was recognized as a fundamental right in India in 2017. So the court clarified that Section 122 protect the sanctity, purity of marriage, but no absolute privacy. So it rejected concerns that admitting secret private recordings would promote surveillance in marriages. The court stated that spying indicates a broken relationship and lack of trust. So if you are taking without knowing the knowledge of your spouse and making a videos and any recording, so it is indicating lack of trust according to Supreme Court. So the Supreme Courts are not motivating this all these things. The judgment raises concern about fairness in trials due to unequal access to technology. According to the Mobile Gender Gap Report 2025, women in India have 39% less smartphone ownership than men. So these differences may give an advantage to the spouse with better technological access to secretly record conversation. The ruling marks the need to consider digital divides in legal contents. So the ruling marks the need to consider to think digital divides in legal contents, in spouse contents, divorce cases. Next news about UK lowers voting age to 16. United Kingdom government has announced a major reform in its electoral system. It will be lowered from 18 to 16 for the next general election expected in 2029. So, which alongside this, government plans to expand voter ID requirements to include UK issued bank cards. So, what is the reason of lowering the voting age? It fulfills a Labour Party manifesto promise and aligns voting rights across the United Kingdoms. It helps in boosting youth engagement in politics and restore public trust in democratic institutions. They believe that it helps in shaping the nation future also. So it's help in expansion of voter ID requirement. So this change is designed to remove barriers for voters which may lack traditional forms of identification. Bank cards are widely held and issued only after security checks, making them a reliable form of ID. So this UK lowers voting age to 16. It aims to reduce voter impersonation risk while making voting more accessible. So digital voter registration and authority certificates, the system will reduce printing costs and speed up the registration process. Automated voter registration will be help in decreasing the burden on voters by linking electoral data with other government services. So it becomes more efficient, more friendly electoral process because automated voter registration process will help in this process. New measure against foreign influence and electoral abuse. So new rules will target foreign interference in UK politics. Donation over GPP 500 to unincorporated association will be scrutinized to close to find loopholes used by foreign donors. So this step aim to safeguard the integrity and transparency of UK election. So the UK is adopting best practices adopting best practices from countries like Australia and Canada. These nation use Australia and Canada. These nation use automated voter registration system to achieve accurate high registration rate and help in reducing errors also. So by integrating similar technology, automated voter registration system, the UK hopes to modernize its electoral infrastructures and encourage wider participation. So these help in equates to around 7,50,000 peoples. So the government's expanded ID acceptance, which aims to reduce such deterrence, such hindrance, and ensure more citizens can exercise their voting rights without any difficulty. Next news is about Gurgaon monsoon flooding. So Gurgaon, now known as Gurugram, faces severe flooding every monsoon despite moderate rainfall. So, but this is a concern. Why Gurugram is facing severe flooding every monsoon despite moderate rainfall? So cities like Kochi, which sees over 3,000 millimeter without similar floods. Gurgaon rapids urbanization and planning neglect have made it vulnerable for most problem is because of the water logging, traffic chaos, and safety hazards, lack of safety hazards during rain. So these are the reason the Gurugram faces severe flooding every month, every monsoon, despite moderate rainfall. So the establishment of Maruti's factory in Manesar in 1980 transformed it into industrial hub. This is also the reason liberalization in the 1990s increase its growth into a major city with high per capita incomes. So very rapid urban growth and industrialization will be taking place in and has taken place in Gurgaon. So these are the also the reason of water logging, traffic chaos, safety lack of safety hazards, and there is a less water management process. So this is the reason severe flooding as Gurgaon is facing every monsoon despite moderate rainfall. Ignoring topography, Gurgaon is ignoring topography and natural drainage. So rainwater natural flows northwards toward Najafgarh Jheel. Earlier maps saw many water channels running east-west parallel to the rees, which drained rainwater effectively. Today, these channels have vanished. This channel have almost not present due to urbanization because of the these places are used in creating buildings. So roads like Golf Course Road run north to south, blocking natural runoff paths and worsening flooding. So these are the reason Gurgaon is facing flooding every monsoon despite modern rainfall. moderate rainfall. Next news about less rainfall. Next news is about China's GDP growth defies global economics challenges. So China's economy expanded, increased. China's economy increased by 5.2% in the second quarter of 2025. So it is good news for China that their economy is increasing by 5.2% in the second quarter of 2025, and this growth surpassed global analyst expectation despite ongoing trade tension and tariffs imposed by the United States. Because of ongoing trade tension is there, tariffs imposed by the United States. Instead of this, China's economy is increasing, extending by 5.2% in the second quarter of 2025. So it shows China's resilience and structural challenges and shifting global trade patterns. So China's GDP growth in second quarter 2025 was 5.2%, following a 5.4% increase in quarter one. So this figure exceeded market estimate of around 4.5%. Market estimate is only 4.5%, and China at quarter one is was in 5.4% in 2025, and quarter two 2025 it is 5.2%. So the country is on track to meet its annual growth target of approximately 5%. So export rose overall. China's export increase overall despite a 26% drop in shipment to the United States. It is compensated by the higher exports to ASEAN, Africa, and the EU. So China's structure, there are also some structural challenges in China's economy. The downfall of Evergrande, a major real estate company, which was triggered a crisis affecting consumer confidence and domestic demands. So real estate also face problem. It remains part of household wealth, and real estate also decrease and decline, which increase unemployment, particularly youth unemployment, which reached over 20%. Instead of that, China's economy expanded by 5.2% in the second quarter 2025 and 5.4% in quarter one 2025. So these are the China's GDP growth, 5.2% in the second quarter. This means that despite the high tariffs imposed by United States President Donald Trump, the value of the economic output inside China during the second quarter of 2025 was 5.2% more than economic output during the same quarter of 2024. So China is experiencing deflation with falling prices year on year. So deflation discourages consumer spending as buyers delay purchases, expecting lower prices later. This creates a vicious cycle of reduced demand, lower production, and economic stagnation is also there. So deflation is also harder to combat that inflammation because traditional policy tools like increase interest rate cuts, government spending have limited effect once rates are low. What about the global trend and policy responses? So many countries adopted a China one strategy to diversify their manufacturing bases. So what is a China strategy? China's strategy, number one strategy is to diversify their manufacturing bases. The United States continued tariffs and introduced policies like CHIPS Act to strengthen its semiconductor industry and curb China's technological rise. United States is destroying China's, trying to curb China's technological rise. Between 2021 and 24, United States economy grew faster than China's, increasing the gap in GDP size. So skepticism surround the accuracy of China's official GDP figures due to limited transparency. Because the China's transparency is not clear, it's not transparent. However, recent research by economists affiliated with the United States Federal Reserve suggests that China's official growth data have not been overstated in recent years. So this lends more confidence to the reported steady growth despite external pressure. Next news about India raises reserves prices for wheat and rice. India increases reserve prices for wheat and rice. This a move aims to manage supply, support farmers, and control inflammation. So the FCI will sell their grains through e-auction under the open market sale scheme domestic. What are the scheme name is? Open market sale scheme domestic. So FCI will sell these grains, wheat and rice through e-auction. So these revised prices, increased prices, reflect recent production trends and government policies. Reserve prices increase details. So the Department of Food and Public Distribution fixed the new reserve price for wheat at rupees 2,550 per quintal. This is an 11% rise from 2,300 in the previous fiscal. The price applies to all wheat crop, including the current Rabi marketing season also. From number one, the price for rice will, with 25% broken grain sold to private parties and cooperative will be rupees 2,890 per quintal, a 3.2% increase from rupees 2,800. So rice prices and wheat prices are increased by the government of India for from its strategic food grain reserve for the fiscal year 2025 and 26. So the rice reserves price increase aligns with the 3% increase in the minimum spot price for paddy. So the MSP for common paddy is now rupees 2,369 per quintal and rupees 2,389 for grade A paddy. So the government decision reflects a bumper wheat crop and better procurement rates. About production and stock situation, wheat production by the procurement by the government reached 30 million tons by early July 2025, surpassing last year production. So wheat production is very nice. Rice stock are also at record levels with 37.9 million tons in the central pool as of June 1, 2025. So wheat stock stood at 36.9 million tons, the highest in 4 years, which is highest in 4 years about wheat stocks. So good monsoon forecast and increased sowing for the Kharif season provide a scope for releasing these grains into the market to stabilize prices. These mechanisms help ensure food grain availability, control inflammation, and support farmers by maintaining minimum price labels. So FCI manages procurement, storage, distribution of food grains under the PDS, Public Distribution System. Next news about US designates the resistance front as terrorist group. US Department of State. The US Department of State nominated the Resistant Front TRF as a foreign terrorist organization and especially designated global terrorist in July 2025. So this is important step in international counter-terrorism cooperation, particularly between India and United States. DRF claimed responsibility for the April 2025 Pahalgam attack in South Kashmir, which killed 26 people. So, Internal External Affair Minister S. Jaishankar welcomed the designation as a strong affirmation of joint efforts against terrorism. Terrorism must be eradicated. So, the resistant front surfaced in 2020 amid rising tension in Jammu and Kashmir. There is a emergence of resistance front in 2020. So this group gained attention after deadly encounters with Indian security forces, including a May 2020 gun battle in Keren that killed 5 army commandos and 5 militants. So this is a revocation of Article 317 2019, which removed Jammu Kashmir special status. Growth and a strategy of registration front. LET was established in 1985 with the aim of merging Kashmir with Pakistan. However, by late 2018, India's security operation had decimated its leadership and operational capacity. So, Pakistan facing international pressure from Financial Action Task Force, due to terror financing concern, sought to create a more secular and indigenous military groups. So TRF was designed to appear less religiously motivated and more locally rooted. So this group reportedly trains militant for 6 months, blending local and foreign fighters. So it uses social media platforms also to spread propaganda and claim attacks. These are about the growth and strategy of resistant front. What are the significance of US terrorist designation? The US designation of TRF as an FTO and SDGT under the Immigration and Nationality Act and Office of Foreign Assets control rules restrict the group operation in the United States. So it prohibits American from providing material support and requires financial institution to block asset linked to TRF. Such measure aims to disrupt, to destroy funding and international networks. So TRF joins a list of about 79 groups, including Hezbollah and Al Qaeda, recognized by the United States as these are terrorist organizations. What are the impact on India US counter terrorism cooperation? What are the impact cooperation between India and US to counter terrorism? India has long accused Pakistan of supporting militant groups in Kashmir. The United States moved signal alignment with India's security concern, and they shared a commitment to remove terrorism, to counter terrorism. So this step is expected to enhance intelligence sharing, joint operation, diplomatic efforts to combat terrorism in South Asia, and it also create pressure on Pakistan to curb terror financing and militant activity. Next news is about Swachh Sarvekshan 2525, which have which reaffirmed Indore, Surat, and Navi Mumbai as India's cleanest cities. So, according to Swachh Sarvekshan 2024-25 report, Indore, Surat, and Navi Mumbai are considered as India's cleanest cities. Indore, Surat, and Navi Mumbai. So these cities topped the newly introduced Super Swachh League, which honors sustained excellence in urban situation. Top Citizen Award, the Indore secured first place, followed by Surat, and third Navi Mumbai. Then fourth is Vijayawada. Ahmedabad, Bhopal, and Lucknow emerge as leading Swachh Sahar in the new generation category. The survey recognized 78 entities, including cities, cantonments, and institutions for their sanitation achievements. Prayagraj was awarded Best Ganga Town. Sikandrabad Cantonment Board earned praise for sanitation efforts. Visakhapatnam, Jabalpur, and Gorakhpur were honored for prioritizing sanitation, worker safety, and dignity. These are about the awards. A total of 78 awards across 4 categories will be presented this year. 14 crore citizens participated in the assessment. Swachh Sarvekshan 2024 it adopted a smart, structured approach to access urban cleanliness and service delivery using 10 well-defined parameters. It uses 10 well-defined parameters with 54 indicators, which is offering a complete view of sanitation and waste management in cities. So, President confers Swachh Sarvekshan 24-25 awards in Indore, Surat, Navi Mumbai entered the premier Super Swachh League, Ahmedabad, Bhopal, and Lucknow, India's new clean cities, promising clean cities award to 34 cities of state or union territories. So there is innovation in survey frameworks. 10 new parameters and 5 population categories were added to make the survey more performance driven and inclusive. Some special initiative and program has been taken place. So this mentorship program pairs 78 top cities with underperforming ones in their states to share best practices. So it will start on 15 August and run for a year, aiming to unlock urban land and improve sanitation infrastructure across the country. Role of leadership in citizen were asked to join the collective mission of building a cleaner India under the slogan West is best. So what is the slogan of this cleaner India is West is best. Next news is about India's Automotive Mission 2047. The Government of India has launched the Automotive Mission Plan 2047 to transform India into global automotive leader by 2047. So these strategic roadmap align with the broader Viksit Bharat at the rate 2047 vision. So it emphasizes on innovation, sustainability, increased global trade share, increase global trade pair. So automotive mission plan AMP build on the earlier AMP 2016-2026 initiative. So it aimed to place India among the top 3 global automotive hubs by value education, exports, and also in job creation. So automotive mission plan 2047 seeks to expand this vision and a stronger focus on technology, quality, sustainability. So they include representatives from government, industry, and academia. So what are the objective and strategic focus to this plan targets sector growth, export enhancement, industry advancement, India boost India share in global automotive markets, innovation and quality are the central themes. The initiative includes developing infrastructure such as electrical vehicle charging networks and adopting emerging technologies. So AMP 2047 involves a broad range of stakeholders, industries bodies like SIAM, ACMA, CIAF, FICCA, these are that. And several ministries are also included. There are some milestone and timeline. The roadmap sets clear targets for 2030, 2037, 2047. So some clear targets are already has been set. So these milestone aimed at phase growth in production, exports, and technology adoption. So it also focuses on job creation, increasing the automotive sector contribution to GDP. So this strategy is adapted to future technologies and market changes. So AMP 2047 addresses challenges also like rapid technology shifts, infrastructure gaps, global competition, but it promotes sustainability through electric mobility and cleaner because electric mobility provide cleaner fuels. So it also seeks to enhance skill development to meet future industry demands. And export growth also increase through quality improvements and global market integration. Next news is Uttar Pradesh school merger spark debate on education access. It's a very different types of news about Uttar Pradesh government, Uttar Pradesh school. They decided to merge schools, and it creates a spark debate on education sector. The Uttar Pradesh government's 2025 decision to merge government school. It's a big news. Government decided to merge to mix government school with low enrollment has sparked widespread debate across the country. Opposition leaders and local communities argue the move could restrict access to education for marginalized children, especially girls. Girls will face this, definitely will face in education, in accessing education. Despite protest, the Allahabad High Court has upheld the government position. So this policy shift reflects broader trend in Indian education aimed at resource optimization amid declining enrollments. Instead of that, UP school merge government school with low enrollment because of the reason is low enrollment. So in May 2025, Uttar Pradesh Basic Education Department identified a school with fewer than 50 students. In few school, there is students are very less than 50 students. So they decided to merge with other school. So the plan was to merge these with nearby school that have better facilities. But this girls student will definitely face if the distance will be more from their house. The government aims to use free infrastructure for pre-primary Balvatikas. So this approach follows similar reforms seen in states like Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha under Niti Aayog initiatives since 2017. So this approach follows similar reforms which are seen in a state like Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Odisha under Niti Aayog initiative since 2017. So this Uttar Pradesh government decided to merge schools to address inefficient use of resources in a small school. Reason is also there is a inefficient resources in small schools. So many government school have very low enrollment and often only one teacher. So NEP 2020 recommend forming school complexes to share resources and to improve education quality according to NEP 2020 to share resources and to improve education quality. So this NEP 2020 aim to reduce operational challenges such as multi-grade teaching and lack of specialized subject or facilities. So government schools have were established under scheme like Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and the Right to Education Act 2009. So this aim for universal elementary education within neighborhoods. So Right to Education Act mandates school within 1 kilometer for classes 1 to 5 and within 3 kilometer for classes 6 to 8 according to RTE. So classes 1 to 5 school student will get the school within 1 kilometer and for classes 6 to 8 is within 3 kilometers. Kothari Commission also in 1968 also emphasized neighborhood schools to prevent social segregation, social disparity, differences, and promote inclusive education. There should be equality in education. There are some challenges of this merger policy because many students have to travel long distances. It is challenging for students and parents. This may disappropriately affect girls and marginalized group, risking higher dropout rates. So it will increase the high dropout rates because difficult for children to move to the longest place to travel a large distance. So this it will increase dropout rates. So petition setting violation of RT distance norms were dismissed by Allahabad High Court. So Allahabad Court has dismissed this petition, which noted practical limits on land and resources. Critics fear the loss of local school undermines community access and engagements. So some benefits are there and some disadvantages are also there. Next news is about India's national skilling policy and ITI upgradation. National Skilling Policy and ITI upgradation. A National Steering Committee NSC was formed in July 2025 to guide this transformation. The focus on upgrading ITI industrial training institutes and establishing National Center of Excellence COE to meet industry's needs. So it aims to create a skilled workforce which is aligned with modern manufacturing and which is according to the industrial demands. Formation of National Steering Committee consists of central minister, industry leaders, and state official. It is chaired by the Skill Secretary Ranjit Puhani. Members include official from education, commerce, heavy industries, labor minister, private firms, etc. So it ensures coordination between central, state, and constant level bodies. These are the formation, what is the process of formation of NSC. About upgradation of industrial training institutes, the government approved a rupees 60,000 crore scheme, approved approximately 60,000 crore to upgrade 1,000 government ITIs over 5 years. The funding is shared between center, states, and industry through CSR contribution, through Center of Excellence contribution. So, states have been asked to identify ITIs and submit bids for upgradation. So, delivering the keynotes, these are about the ITI upgradation effort, which represent a shift in paradigm. For mere infrastructure, there should be an infrastructure enhancement to transforming to transformational skilling reforms. So, Gujarat workshop underscored the transformative potential of integrated policy, decentralized implementation, collaborative governance in India's skilling journey. So, this initiative is more than a scheme, it is a national movement to elevate, to improve vocational education, skill education, bring dignity to skilled profession, bring respect to skilled profession, and it will definitely help in creating a resilient, future ready workforce that powers India's growth story in the decades in near futures. So there are National Center of Excellence for skilling in Bhubaneswar, Chennai, Hyderabad, Kanpur, and Ludhiana. So it focus on training instructor in hands-on skill and teaching methods. It aims to enhance sector specific skills and encourage global partnership. There is role of industry and curriculum reform is also, so that ensure training matches actual job market requirements. So the education which is given, which will definitely match with the actual job market requirements. The goal is to create future ready ITIs that provide job employable youth, which is aligned with fast paced evolving industrial needs of future. So what are the coordination and oversight? NSC will oversee the entire transformation process. The committee also aligned with various government levels and industry cluster to ensure smooth execution. So what are the background of NSTIs? NSTIs was first established in 1963. There are currently 33 NSTIs across India, which are involved in vocational education, skill education, and this primary function is to train instructor also in skill transfer techniques. Upgrading NSTI with a COEs will enhance their capacity to deliver specialized training and meet sector specific needs. Next news about Uttarakhand launches endangered plant conservation program. So, organisms which are about to extinct are called endangered. So, Uttarakhand, a Himalayan biodiversity hotspot with 69% forest cover. So, Uttarakhand, in that Himalayan biodiversity hotspot is there, and there is 69% forest cover is there. It has initiated a pioneering program to receive 14 critically endangered plant species to protect these 14 critically endangered plant species which are about to extinct. So this project began in July 2025 coinciding with the monsoon and is expected to complete its first phase by the end of July month. So Uttarakhand hosts a diverse ecosystem. Uttarakhand has different types of ecosystem from alpine meadows to terai plains. This state, Uttarakhand state heritage is very important for ecosystem balance and traditional medicine also. Selection of few selection of endangered plant species, in that 14 species are selected as endangered, critically endangered or vulnerable by IUCN red list. and the Uttarakhand State Biodiversity Boards. And these notable species include Himalayan gentian, white Himalayan lily, Indian spikenard, boon cheesewood, and Kumayo fan palm. So these species, plant species which are in endangered conditions. So many are prized for these, or these species are used in manufacturing of different types of medicine. So if it is not there, so it is very difficult to make different types of medicine, and it has led to their over exploitation and drastic population decline also. Because of this, Uttarakhand has launches endangered plant conservation program species. So, Uttarakhand scientific propagation and habitat mapping is there. So, this they have developed a high altitude nurseries across Uttarakhand using seed bulbs, rhizomes, stem cuttings. So, they are applied many methods to ensure their healthy growth of these endangered species. So, this site span various altitudes and ecosystem, including alpine and deciduous forest. So before replanting, habitats were prepared by about reintroduction process and site preparation. So there, before replanting of these species, habitats were prepared by mitigating threats such as grazing. There should no grazing, there should be no deforestation, no tree cutties, and there should be no human disturbance. So different types of protective measures was also taken place, like fencing, patrols, which is established to safeguard the this endangered plant species. What are the ecological and medicinal importance of selected plants? This plant have ecological importance because help in making different types of medicine. So medicinal significance. For example, Himalayan gentian is treats. It's a very important species which treats liver and fewer ailments. Treats liver problem and fewer ailments. Now, next species is white Himalayan lily, which is used in Chavanpras. We always consume Chavanpras. So, white Himalayan lily is used in Chavanpras to make our immune system strong. Then, next species is Indian spikenard, which produces aromatic oils for traditional medicine. So, these are the ecological and medicinal importance of selected plants. So their restoration definitely supports biodiversity, support we humans, and sustainable medicinal resource use also. Next news is about Chhattisgarh Vision 2047. The state of Chhattisgarh has revealed an ambitious plan to increase its GDP by 14 to 15 times by 2047. So it's again a very big step that Chhattisgarh has announced about their ambitious plan to increase its GDP. And increasement has this increase its GDP it will be done by 14 to 15 times by 2047. The focus is on expanding the service sector. So how they will increase the GDP according to Chhattisgarh governments, by expanding, by improving the service sector from 35% to 50% of the state's economy. So it aims to complement the existing industrial and agricultural sectors and create a balance and sustainable economic models, and in turns they are able to increase its GDP by 14 to 15 times by the year 2047. Chhattisgarh GDP presently stand at about the current status of Chhattisgarh GDP. It presently stand at approximately rupees 5 lakh crore. Industrial sector contributes 45%, agriculture 20%, service sector 35%. The state aims to the Chhattisgarh aims to raise its GDP to rupees 5 lakh crore by 2047. So service sector expansion, for this, the Chhattisgarh government wants to expand their service sectors, include information technology, logistic, and tourism. So the state plans to develop IT parks and attract IT enabled enabled companies. So special emphasis which the Chhattisgarh government is giving to placed on establishing hubs for Hindi business process outsourcing (BPO) and artificial intelligence startups. So these are the initiative Chhattisgarh government is taking to increase its GDP by 14 to 15 times by 2047. So they are targeting to improve tourism also. Currently, Chhattisgarh ranks 19th in domestic and 28th in international tourist football. This plan includes promote various tourism types such as eco, cultural, wellness, religious, heritage, adventure, and MICE. So several tourist spots have been shortlisted for development to attract more visitors. So in this way, Chhattisgarh will enhance their GDP. There is also more emphasis on infrastructure and connectivity, which is important for economic growth. The report proposes upgrading Raipur Airport to international status. Raipur Airport to become international airport with direct flights to United States, Bangladesh, and UCO. So in turn, there is a economic growth take place in Chhattisgarh. Road expansion, they are also thinking to expand their road and railway connectivity to 10 currently unconnected districts. These are the plans. So the plan stresses social equality and human capital development also. And the government is doing investment in education, healthcare, skill development to empower their citizens. So these measures aim to create a skilled workforce which are ready to support the growing service sector and industrial base. Next news is about heat challenges impact global sports and major events. The year 2025 has seen athletes worldwide struggle against rising temperatures. So, according of the increasing temperature, all the athletes across globe suffer because of rising temperatures. So, from football pitches to tennis court, extreme heat is disturbing play, disturbing sport, and endangering health of sports person. So, spectators, sports person have fainted. Players have vomited and matches have been paused. So, this growing problem marks climate change direct impact on sports also. So, in recent weeks, athletes have visibly suffered from heat stress. British tennis player Cameron Norrie called the condition a shock to the system. These are the shock to the system because of increasing temperature. So the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup took place amid a severe United States heat wave. Matches continued despite the extreme condition, causing concern about player safety and match quality. So expert warned that all sport venues now face these challenges regularly because of increase in rising temperature. So climate change, which is an essential threat to sports also. It is giving threats to sports also. Rising global temperature, especially in the month of June and July, threatening the scheduling and safety of major events like FIFA World Cup, Summer Olympics. So these are specifically held in the hot season, June and July, like this month. So the problem is growing more urgent. Next is about Assam launches milk subsidy scheme. So Chief Minister, it's a major improvement for the health sector by Assam government. The Assam government has recently introduced a subsidy scheme offering rupees 5 liter of milk to dairy farmers. Rupees 5 per liter of milk to dairy farmers. Per liter, rate is rupees 5 to dairy farmers. It aims to increase milk production and also aim to improve farmers' incomes. So, alongside the subsidy, Assam is expanding its largest dairy processing plant in Guwahati. So, Assam is expanding its dairy processing plant in Guwahati to empower the dairy supply chain and help in promotion of and improvement of Village economic growth, rural economic growth. So what are the subsidy scheme for dairy farmers? This new scheme provides rupees 5 per liter subsidy to farmers who supply milk to these farmers are supplying milk to cooperative societies. So it targets over 20,000 dairy farmers in Assam. This subsidy is designed to encourage higher milk production and enhance farmers' earning also, because they are getting rupees 5 per liter of milk. The government views this as a way to spark a rural dairy revolution and improve rural village farmers' livelihoods. So the West Assam about expansion of Purari dairy plants. The West Assam Milk Producer Cooperative Union Limited is expanding its Panjabari plant in Guwahati. So this expansion will improve milk collection and processing efficiency. The plant will increase pasteurized pouch milk production from 1.15 LLPD to 2 LLPD. So additionally, dairy products with a total capacity of 70 TLPD will also be produced. So help in boosting definitely help in boosting the dairy sectors. So Assam Dairy Development Plan and Regional Impact, it support the Assam Dairy Development Plan, which aims to produce 10 LLPD across the state's formal dairy sectors, which the Panjabri plant is the largest dairy processing facility in Northeast India, and Panjabri plant is playing a key role in regional dairy growth. About economic and social benefits, it will definitely improve the rural village people incomes and contribute to Assam's agricultural development also. By supporting dairy farmers and upgrading their infrastructures, Assam aims to build a sustainable dairy ecosystem that benefits not only consumer but producer also. Next news about India's biostimulant regulation. India's Agriculture Ministry recently took a strong step to regulate biostimulants amid rising farmer complaints. Biostimulants are substance or microorganism which are applied to plant or soil to stimulate growth and improve nutrient uptakes. So biostimulants are substances or microorganism which are applied to plants or it is applied to soil to increase their growth and to increase their nutrient uptake. It helps in increasing crop yield, quality, stress tolerance. Common source include plant waste and seaweed extracts. So they differ from fertilizers. Biostimulants are totally different from fertilizer and pesticide, and they are regulated separately. So common sources include plant waste and seaweed extracts. So India's Agriculture Ministry recently took strong step to regulate biostimulants amid rising farmer complaints. So concern about their effectiveness and unchecked sales prompted these action. So the biostimulant market in India is growing rapidly but requires stricter oversight to protect farmers' interest. So how to use the reuse that commons to enhance plant waste and seaweed extracts. About market size and growth, India's biostimulant market was valued at USD 355.53 million in 2024. It is expected to grow to over USD 1.1 billion by 2032, by the year 2032, with a compound annual growth rate of 1564%. So despite this growth, many products were sold without proper approval. So these are the rising concern. So biostimulants were unregulated for years and they did not fit under fertilizer or pesticide. They are not under any fertilizer law or pesticides law. So the Fertilizer Control Order 1985 and the Insecticides Act 1968 govern fertilizer and pesticide respectively. In 2011, courts urged regulation of bioproducts claiming to substitute fertilizer or pesticides. So this led to state level quality checks and eventually a framework by Niti Aayog and the Agriculture Minister in 2017. So there is some inclusion under fertilizer control orders. So the FCO classifies biostimulants into 8 categories such as botanical extract, biochemicals, vitamins, antioxidants. Manufacturer must submit detailed product information and manufacturer must pass toxicity and bioefficacy test. So these are about the fertilizer control order. So these are the things manufacturer must have to submit product information and must pass toxicity and bioefficacy test. Testing and compliance requirements. Product must not contain pesticide beyond 0.1 ppm. Bioefficacy trials are conducted at multiple agroecological locations with varying dose to ensure effectiveness. Biostimulants undergo 5 acute toxicity tests on rats and rabbits. So 5 acute toxicity tests which was conducted and which is conducted on rats and rabbits, and 4 ecotoxicity tests on birds, fish, honeybees and earthworms. So these are the process of testing and compliance. Central Biostimulant Committee, which was in 2021, it advised on product inclusion, specification and testing methods. So this committee guides policy and ensures scientific standard in biostimulant use. So on the provisional registration expired on biostimulant, the halting sales of uncertified products. The ministry also issued crops specific biostimulant specification, and these crops are tomatoes, paddy, cotton and other key crops in May 2025. So these are the recent government action taken on different types of crops. So these are the recent government action on biostimulants. The union government minister wrote to all chief minister urging them to stop the forced tagging of biostimulants with subsidized fertilizer like urea and DAP. So in addition to this, the agriculture minister notified specification of biostimulant for several crops including tomato, chili, cucumber, paddy, brinjal, cotton, potato, green gram, grape, hot pepper, soybean, maize and onion. So plant was biostimulants water, which helps in stimulating, improving plant growth, help in nutrient recycling, increase tolerance to abiotic stress, favors soil's microflora, improves yield and quality of crops. So water biostimulants, microbial inoculants, bacterial beneficial bacteria, beneficial fungi, microbial symbiosis. These are plant biostimulants. Others, inorganic salt, anti-transpirants, protein hydrolytes, enzymatic extracts, acids, humic substances, flavic acid, humins. These are the an extract of seaweed extract, plant-derived bioactive substances. So these are the plant stimulants. Next news is about the Supreme Court advisory jurisdiction on bail timelines. Supreme Court advisory jurisdiction on bail timelines. So the Supreme Court of India is set to hear a presidential reference under Article 143 on July 2025. So this follow its April 8 verdict that fixed a 3-month deadline for the president to act on bills reserved by governors. The reference was made by President Draupadi Murmu seeking the court's advisory opinion on timeliness for asset to state bills. A constitution bench led by Chief Justice B.R. Gavai will examine this matter. Supreme Court's advisory jurisdiction explain Article 143 of the Constitution of India allows the President to seek the Supreme Court's opinion on question of law or fact. So this advisory jurisdiction is non-binding and aims to clarify constitutional issues of public importance. The court may choose whether to answer the reference. Such reference must be heard by at least 5 judges. The power helps the president act independently on complex constitutional matters. So these are the historical use and limitation of Supreme Courts. The court has declined advisory opinions. So, appellate ruling and its impact. The recent two-judge bench ruling mandated the president to clear bills reserved by governors within 3 months. This came after the Tamil Nadu governor withheld assent on 10 bills. The court allowed states to seek rights against the president if she delays assent. It aimed to balance center state relation and check governance power, often seen as the extension of the center. What are the scope of presidential reference? So, this reference include 14 questions mostly linked to the April 8 verdict, but also broader issues. It questioned the use of Article 142, which grants the court power to do complete justice. It also seek clarity on center state disputes under Article 131, which grant the Supreme Court original jurisdiction in such matters. Center state relation and political consent. So, governors appointed by the center sometimes withhold assets to bill, undermining elected governance. The ruling has sparked debate on parliamentary supremacy and judicial overreach, which is denoting the delicate balance of powers. About judiciary and parliamentary supreme debate, so Vice President Jagdeep Dhankar has called for limited judicial review and stronger separation of powers. Such debates are long-standing, tracing back to early post-independence conflicts over property rights and constitutional amendments. The Kesavanda Bharati case remains a landmark on limits to parliamentary power. Supreme Court, next news is about Supreme Court sets DNA evidence handling guidelines. DNA evidence handling guidelines. The Supreme Court of India recently established comprehensive guidelines to standardize the management of DNA evidence in different types of criminal cases. This move follows the acquittal of a death row convict in Tamil Nadu due to unreliable DNA evidence caused by procedural lapses, procedural weakness. The court emphasized the need for informity and scientific rigor in collecting, preserving, and processing DNA sample to ensure justice. So the motto of the court is to there should be informative and scientific clarity in collecting, preserving, and processing DNA sample so that justice should be transparent. Importance of DNA evidence and criminal evidence. It's a very important to suspect crime scenes through unique genetic markers, samples such as blood, semen, saliva, hair, to know about the victims. A match across sufficient markers can serve as powerful proof in court. So, however, the strength of DNA evidence depends heavily on its proper, careful handling and documentation. So, key procedures guidelines issued by the Supreme Court. So, Supreme Courts had given some guidelines. Sample must be sealed immediately in tamper-proof containers and labeled with details like FIR number, date, legal section, investigation officer, and police station. So documentation requires signature from medical staff, investigators, and independent witness. So samples should be transported to forensic lab within 48 hours, with all transferred lost meticulously, carefully. So Supreme Court set DNA evidence handling guidelines very carefully, very judiciously, very meticulously. So chain of custody and evidence integrity should be there. Sample cannot be opened, altered or resealed without trial court permission before proceeding against. There are few significance of uniform procedure across India. Uniform protocols will reduce errors, mistakes, disputes in forensic analysis and reporting, which is important to maintain public trust in forensic science and ensuring fair trials. Impact on criminal justice system. They help prevent wrongful conviction, wrongful judgment based solely on flawed, mistaken DNA analysis. So this development definitely improve the overall quality of investigation, crime investigation, and judicial outcomes by integrating scientific precision with the help of DNA with legal safeguards. Next news is about Delhi slum rehabilitation policy and PPP change. So the Delhi government faces ongoing challenges in rehabilitating slum dwellers despite policy efforts. So this move through public-private partnership. PPP means public-private partnership. This move aims to unlock the real estate potential of slum lands in central Delhi. However, past attempts at public-private partnership led rehabilitation have been limited success. About slum demography and governance, Delhi has 675 slum housing between 30 to 50 lakh people. Out of this, 376 slums are on central government land under the Delhi Development DDA under DDA, while 299 will fall under Delhi Urban Shelter Improvement Board on Delhi government land. So the and about 2015 Delhi slum and Jhuggi Jhopri rehabilitation policy prioritizes in situ rehabilitation within a few kilometers, means they will get the house within a few kilometers radius of the original site. So in situ means within the 5 kilometers. Eligibility criteria include a minimum of 50 households slum existence before 2006 and proof of residence before 2015. So what are about the current progress and issue? Rehabilitation progress remains slow. Only two in situ projects, Kalkaji and Swabhiman apartment, have been completed with about 3,300 flats allotted on city outskirts. Over 52,000 flats are under construction but have low occupancy due to remote location and poor condition. Only a fraction of completed flats have been allotted to slum dwellers. So the government directs funding model has not fully met demand of slum dwellers. There are some public-private partnership model. So this approach leverage high-value land in central Delhi. However, only one private-public model, Kathputli colony remains incomplete after more than a decade. It attempts to attract developers through multiple tenders failed due to low interest. There are some various challenges in developer participation in NCR cities like Gurgaon and Noida due to better returns and fewer risks. Slum dwellers' resistance to relocation and legal complexity also add to these challenges. So the task force notes the heavy investment in rehabilitation delays commercial gains for developers. Next news is about India's internet intermediary liability and content regulation. The government of India recent stance on regulating online content and intermediary liability has sparked debate in 2025. So India's internet intermediary liability and content regulation means to it the center has defended lowering safe harbor protection for internet intermediaries and social media platforms. So there should be a need to take care of these social media platforms and internet user. So this move involves removing content flagged by authorities through the Sahyog portal. The Karnataka High Court is currently hearing a plea by the social media platform challenging this approach under Section 79 of the Information Technology Act. Algorithm curation versus traditional media. The government argues that algorithm curator system differ fundamentally from editorial decision in traditional media. So the government views this as a reason to regulate online platforms very strictly, very carefully. The system amplifies certain content beyond normal use sharing. So this amplification, there is a lack of transparency, as transparent standard, and there is no direct equivalent in print or broadcast medium. So these are the issue about the internet. Safe harbor protection and legal prohibition. Section 79 of the Information Technology Act, which provides conditional immunity to intermediaries for user generated content. The Sahyog portal, which is managed by Indian Cyber Crime Coordination Center, facilitate take care of such notices. However, Section 69A of the IT Act specifically authorizes blocking orders for the content threatening sovereignty, security, or public orders. The government argues that Section 79 must cover a wide range of unlawful content beyond Section 69A's scope. So there are concern over anonymity and accountability. So unlike licensed newspaper or broadcaster, online speakers often remain unknown. The government claimed this anonymity combined with algorithm curation increases the spread of harmful or false content. There is increase in harmful or false content in online media. So it necessitates stricter regulation. There is a need of strict regulation. So, as of March 2025, 38 IT intermediaries, including Google, Microsoft, Amazon, Telegram, Apple, LinkedIn, have integrated with a Sahyog portal. A Meta Inc., owner of Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, has also allowed API based integration. However, the platform X has refused to onboard. Name is not mentioned, so that it is given X, contesting the government's authority under Section 79 to issue takedown notices. So they urge that only Section 16A empowers the government to block content. Next is about India's parliament session explained. India's parliament conduct three main sessions annually. These are the budget, monsoon, and winter session. So each session plays an important role in legislation, budget approval, government accountability. So this session ensure regular parliamentary functioning and democratic governance. So budget session run from February to May. It is the longest session, most important session. So, and debates occur on budget proposal and demand for grants. The session may have a recess but continue till early May. Monsoon season July to August, and key activities includes debates on bills and policy matters. It focuses on legislative businesses and national issues. Question hour and zero hour allows monsoon session to raise urgent public concerns. Winter session from November to December, it is shorter session but often intense. Pending bills are introduced during winter session. Discussion cover in winter During winter session, discussion cover economic, social, and administrative issues, and it usually lasts 3 to 4 weeks. Constitutional mandate and importance. Constitution of India mandates that the gap between two sessions should not exceed 6 months. So it ensures continuous parliamentary oversight. So together, these three main session. So special session can be called for emergencies or major events if it will be there. So together, these session uphold democratic accountability and effective governance. Rules in India democracy, this session are the backbone of India's parliament democracy. So all the citizens are benefited by understanding this session to stay informed about governance. So regular session ensure the government remains answerable to the people through their elected representatives. So parliament, this is about the parliaments, but as the articles relate to rules and function, motion, session, parliamentary proceeding, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, special powers of Rajya Sabha, parliamentary privileges, bill and law. So these are the about the parliaments. Function of Parliament of India, which consists of Article 79 to 123, which talk about the Parliament of the country. Article 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88. Pause the video and look at all the article. 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97. 98, 99, 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 105, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So these are the articles. Article 13, 113, 114, 15, 16, 17, 119, 120, 21, 22, 23, Article 123. So power of the President to promulgate ordinances during recess of the Parliament, Article 123. Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha differences is also given. House of People and Council of States maximum minimum is so Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the head of the House Lok Sabha is Speaker and Rajya Sabha is the Vice President of India. So these are the differences Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Now next news is about China begins world largest hydropower dam project. So it's against there is a advancement for the China because in China begins world's largest hydropower dam projects on the eastern edge of Tibetan Plateau. So it aims to generate approximately 300 billion kilowatt hours annually, which is matching the electricity consumption of United Kingdom in the 2024. So this dam is located on the Yarlung Jangbo River, which flows into India and Bangladesh as a Brahmaputra. So this project has sparked environmental and geopolitical concern while also boosting Chinese markets, improving Chinese market. So about this project, so this consists of 5 cascade hydropower station, and this will supply power primarily to Tibet and other parts of China. So this scale of investment is really very big investment, unprecedented, with an estimated cost of at least $170 billion. So what are the economic impact of and market response? Companies producing cement, explosive and tunnel equipment saw gains. All will improve. Stock of construction engineering firms also so their search enhancement improvements. So this project is viewed as a major economic stimulus and sign of slowing growth in China. So it is estimated to increase up to 120 billion yuan to GDP in a peak construction year. What are the environmental and ecological concern? It has definitely positive environmental and ecological concern, and Chinese authorities have emphasized ecological conservation during construction. However, NGOs warn of irreversible damage to Tibetan plateau rich biodiversity. The dam impact on river flow and ecosystem downstream remains uncertain. So this project lies in seismically active zone. The zone is seismic active zone, which is raising safety concern. Means there is maybe a chance of different types of tsunami like flood. So this is the only concern. Geopolitical and downstream issues. The Yarlungo Jambo River became the Brahmaputra in India and Bangladesh. Yarlung Jambo River, which is present between the Brahmaputra, India and Bangladesh. So these countries have expressed apprehension about water security. States of India like Arunachal Pradesh fear reduced river flow could affect 80% of water passing through. There is a risk of flooding for Assam and other downstream region. The dam proximity to nearness to closeness to international borders adds to geopolitical, which increase geopolitical tension also. So these are the political issues. About social and employment dimension, the current project employment impact is not yet closed, not yet disclosed, is not yet disclosed. Displacement of local communities remains a concern. The Chinese government has not provided data on possible relocation or resettlement about their local communities. Next news is about India's inflation eases amid a strong monsoon and crop surplus. India's consumer price index inflation in June 2025 fell to 2.1% year on year. CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation, fell to 2.1% year on year. This rate is lower than the United States, 2.7%, United Kingdom, 3.6%. So food inflation in India even turned negative Points should be noted. Food inflation in India even turned negative at -1.1%, contrasting with rises of 3% in United States and rise of 4.5% in the United Kingdom. So this decline of consumer price index inflation in June 2025 is the lowest since January 2019, providing relief to the Reserve Bank of India, which had struggled to control inflation in the past year. The easing is mainly due to bumper crop harvest following a surplus monsoon season in 2024. Impact of the 2024 monsoon on agriculture. The 2024 monsoon delivered 7.6% above average rainfall. This helped replenish, rejuvenates soil moisture, groundwater reserve was wheat production benefited most. There is more wheat production. Government wheat stock also increased. Combined with record rice stock, India has large amount of cereals. This support the public distribution system and helps stabilize market prices. Crop sowing trends in 2025. Most states receive more rain than is usual in the year 2025. This encourage increased sowing of kharif crops compared to the 2024. Few exceptions are arhar, soybean, and cotton. So there are less this crop production. Lower prices and pest attacks cause reduced planting because of the low prices and pest attacks happen in arhar, soybean, and cotton. Otherwise, other are all are kharif crops increased. Growth is increased. Farmers shifted some arhar and soybean area to maize, which is profitable due to its use in fuel, ethanol, and animal feed. So, what they used? Fuel, ethanol, and animal feed. Role of imports in food supply. Despite reduced sowing of some pulses, inflammatory impact is minimal due to imports. India imported record quantity of pulses, importing pulses and vegetable oils in 2024 and 25. The government has kept import duties low or zero on key pulses until March, zero or low on key pulses until March 2026. Edible oil imports duty were cut in May 2025. This measure helped keep food prices in check. Concern over fertilizer supply, urea and diammonium phosphate DAP stocks on 1st July were below last year's level. So fertilizer stock have reduced, decline. This causes a rise in fertilizer prices. The reduced availability could affect crop yields, crop production if shortage persists. The monsoon contribution and fertilizer supply remain key uncertainties for agriculture. Monsoon outlook and about crop growth. Although the monsoon begin well, monsoon is very nice. Any prolonged dry spells could harm crop growth. The early rains help kharif crop to sow in sowing. However, vegetative growth stages are sensitive to water stress. Continued monitoring of rainfall, fertilizer availability is important for sustaining agricultural output and controlling inflammation. Next news about new bills of landing law 2025. The Indian Parliament recently passed the Bill of Landing Bill 2025. So this law replaces the old Indian Bill of Landing Act of 1856. It modernizes and simplifies rules around seeping documents. So landing law is for seeding documents, seeping documents. So this bill was approved by in the Rajya Sabha by voice vote after the opposition walked out. After the opposition walked out, the legislation aims to make seeping processes more efficient and legally clear. It is the aim of this new bills of for seeping documents of Lading Law 2025. So purpose of bills of Lading Law 2025, The bill updates the legal framework for bills of ladings. It records details like type, quantity, condition, and destination of goods. This new law allows transfer of right and liabilities to consigns and indoors named in the bill. So there are few key provision and legal challenges. The bill permits a bill of lading to be valid even if goods have not yet been shipped. So these are the challenges. The bill permit a bill of lading to be valid even if goods have not yet been shipped. So this is intended to facilitate trade but raises concern over potential misuse. So it also modernizes procedures for handling disputes related to shipping documents. So there are some concern and debates in parliaments. The need for strong accountability and legal clarity was stressed. There are exclusion of electronic bills of ladings. The bill does not cover electronic bills of ladings. This is also problem. This is important as shipping increasingly moves towards digital documentation. What are the impact on India's shipping and port sector? The bill aligns with the government's Sagarmala program to modernize ports and logistics. Improved legal clarity is expected to boost India's maritime trade competitions. So these ports are now better connected to rail, road, enhancing cargo movement efficiency. So the new law supports India's vision to become a global shipping. This new lading law is making India's vision to become a global shipping hub. So why the bill is critical, is giving about that shipping carrier, port, custom, consigns, type of bills of lading, when to use, so straight order, bearer, clean, clause, seaway, yearway bill. So pause the video and read kindly. So next is about India's first Hornbill Conservation Center. India's first Hornbill Conservation Center. The Tamil Nadu government has initiated India's first center of excellence for Hornbill. Hornbill conservation at the Annamalai Tiger Reserve in Coimbatore district. So Hornbill birds for this protection conservation at Annamalai Tiger Reserve in Coimbatore district in Tamil Nadu. So it aims to protect hornbills. Hornbills are vital seed disperser in tropical forest, and these hornbills are threatened by habitat loss and climate because of climate change. So for this, government has funded rupees 1 crore under the endangered species conservation corpus fund. What are the ecological importance of hornbills? Are very important for forest regeneration. They disperse seed for natives. They disperse seeds of native trees. They spread seeds of many trees, nearby trees, maintaining biodiversity and forest health, known as farmer of the forest. So hornbills are known as farmer of the forest. These birds support the growth of many species like fig and canarium trees. So if there is a decrease in the number of hornbill take place, it will definitely affect ecosystem, and other wildlife must be affected, and it will increase wildlife dependent on forest habitats. What are they creates threats to hornbill? What are the threats to hornbill population? There are various threats to hornbill population because of deforestation, cutting of trees, habit fragmentation, large amount of climate change, unexpected climate change. This factor reduce nesting sites, food availability for these hornbills. So climate shift also change flowering and fruiting patterns, destroy hornbill feeding and breeding cycles, which help in disturbing hornbill feeding and breeding cycles. So role of Annamalai Tiger Reserve is very important to protect tigers, elephants, lion-tailed macaques, and other endemic species. So this makes it an ideal hub for hornbill conservation leadership. So what are the key species under protection? So these are the center will focus on four hornbill species, which is found in Western Ghats area: Great Hornbill, Malabar Grey Hornbills, Malabar Pied Hornbills, Indian Grey Hornbill. So these are the center focus to protect this is conserve this species. So many conservation activities and researches are going on. There is also community engagement and capacity building programs, collaboration and expansion. The Tamil Nadu Forest Department will partner with national and international organizations such as Salim Ali Center for Ornithology and Natural History, Nature Conservation Foundation, Wildlife Institute of India, and the International Union for Conservation of Nature's Hornbill Specialized Group. So, similar conservation initiative will extend to Kalakhad, Mundha, Thurai Tiger Reserve, Satya Mangalam Tiger Reserve, and the parts of Kanyakumari districts. Next is about recently Justice Vipul Manublai Bancholi has been appointed as Chief Justice of Patna High Court. Justice Vipul Manubhai Pancholi has been appointed as Chief Justice of Patna High Court. Next news is recently the Goa Tivai complex has been declared the first UNESCO site in the country of Sierra Leone. So the Goa Tivai complex in Sierra Leone has been declared as the first UNESCO World Heritage Site in the country. Next news is President Srimati Draupadi Murmu has distributed the Swachh Sarvekshan Awards in New Delhi, which we have learned already. Next news is India's first AI-powered blood test has been launched in Hyderabad. So first artificial intelligence-powered blood test has been launched in Hyderabad. Recently, New Caledonia has been declared a new state of France. France's new state is New Caledonia. Next news is recently electric vehicle manufacturer Tesla has opened its first Indian showroom in Mumbai city. Next news is the state of Gujarat has secured the top position in the production and export of processed potatoes. Gujarat has become the top state in India for processed potato production and export. So this is a significant shift as Gujarat has surpassed traditional leaders like UP, Punjab in this area. Next news is at present there are 20 functioning AIIMS in India. At present, how many functioning AIIMS in India? 20. Next news is retail inflammation rate has come down to 3.1% in June 2025. Next news is DRDO and AIIMS Bibinagar have unveiled cost-effective advanced carbon fiber prosthetic leg. It's a boon for a person who is not having leg. So carbon fiber prosthetic leg. So collaboration with DRDO and AIIMS Bibinagar. Cost-effective advanced carbon fiber prosthetic leg. So first prosthetic leg named is ADIDOC. This Make in India initiative aims to significantly reduce the cost of high quality prosthetic legs. So joint prosthetic leg was developed by DRDO's Defense Research and Development Laboratory and AIIMS Bibinagar. So this project aligns with Atmanirbhar Bharat. It is having lower cost. Low weight is about prosthetics can withstand loads up to 125 kg. Can withstand loads up to 125 kg and is available in 3 weight-based variants. So it helps in greater social and economic inclusion for people with challenges, people with disabilities. Next news is recently President Srimati Draupadi Murmu has presented the Kalinga Ratna Award to Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Kalinga Ratna Award to Education Minister Dharmendra Pradhan. Next news, a week-long celebration has been launched to mark the completion of 10 years of Skill India Mission. Skill India Mission, 10 years completed. 17 July, World International Justice Day. 1.64 crore youth have been trained under the Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana. So under Pradhan Mantri Kausal Vikas Yojana, placement opportunities has been facilitated to STT certified candidates and RPL involved the process of certification of already existing skills. Recently, Yakten village of Sikkim state has been declared the India's first digital nomad village. Nomad Sikkim Yakten becomes India's first digital nomad village. So recently, Yakten village of Sikkim state has been declared India's first digital nomad village. Indore city has received the title of cleanest city for the eighth consecutive time in annual sanitation survey. Next news is according to data from United States-based speed test company Ookla, India is the largest data consumer country worldwide. So India is indeed the largest consumer of mobile data globally according to data from Ookla. So this high consumption is fueled by affordable data plans and increasing smartphone penetration use in the country. In expansion of 5G, it still ranks 26 globally in terms of average connection speed. Next news, recently President Zelensky has appointed Yulia Svyridenko as the new Prime Minister of Ukraine. So new Prime Minister of Ukraine is Yulia Sviridenko. Yulia Sviridenko became the 19th Prime Minister of Ukraine and the second woman to hold the position. Yulia Sviridenko became the 19th Prime Minister of Ukraine and the second woman to hold the position. Next news is recently Atal Distribution System scheme Aditi Yojana has been launched by Sri Manohar Lal Khattar to promote energy efficiency. So this scheme includes phase-wise support such as interest subsidy on loans, investment grade, energy audit, detailed project report, and post-implementation monitoring and verification. So it is a transformative movement to empower Indian industries, especially MSMEs, to become globally competitive through sustainability. So recently, Atal Distribution System scheme name is Aditi Yojana, which has been launched by Sri Manohar Lal Khattar to promote energy efficiency, and the scheme name is Aditi Yojana. Next news is to further strengthen the air defense system, Indian Army has successfully test-fired indigenously developed air defense system Akash Prime in Ladakh. So the trial conducted at an altitude exceeding 15,000 feet involved the Army Air Defense Corps collaboration with DRDO scientists. So this successful trial marks a significant step toward the planned induction of Akash Prime as part of the India's Army layered air defense network. Akash Prime in Ladakh. Indian Army has successfully test-fired air defense system. Indigenous means homemade. Next news is recently Maharashtra has become the first state of India to give the status of agriculture to animal husbandry. So this decision approved by Maharashtra cabinet recognized the vital role of animal husbandry in the rural economy. Animal husbandry means taking care of animals for human benefits. So Maharashtra decision is seen as a pioneering step that could potentially influence other states also in India to adopt similar reforms in their agriculture policies. Next news is recently Exim Pay has been granted approved by RBI to operate as a cross-border payment aggregator. Recently, Exim Pay has been granted approved by RBI to operate as a cross-border payment aggregator. Exim Pay, what is Exim Pay? Which is received an in-principle approval from RBI to operate as a payment aggregate cross-border. They allow to facilitate both import and export transaction according to Indian news sources. So PSCB license issued by RBI to help in both pays in and pays out import exports for digital services, e-commerce and B2B services, B2B good trades. So this help in marks their first official payment license and position them to expand their services and streamline regulatory processes for their clients. Exim Pay plans with the license Exim Pay plans, it offer a complaint infrastructure for cross-border transaction, proper infrastructure, complaint infrastructure for cross-border transaction, focusing on reducing friction and improving compliances for SMEs and exporters in emerging Asian markets. So Exim Pay has a stated goal of 10 business growth, 10 into business growth by fiscal year 2026, leveraging this new license to expand its reach and services. So these are about the 70 news, and then 130 news we will watch in next part. Kindly watch the next series. Thanks for watching. Keep consistent for your preparation. Best of luck for your forthcoming exam.